Hello and welcome to the On the Nod Pod in association with thatagoal.com. I'm your host, Will Rooney, and today I'm joined by regular tipster Henry Gibbs. Evening, Henry. How are we? How was the weekend for yourself?
Yeah, it was good, Will. Thanks. Yeah, enjoyed the racing. Looking forward to getting stuck in again this weekend, really.
Good stuff. And we have also got the returning Maverick, that is Paul Martin. Paul, you were with us for our Breeders' Cup special with Tim Carroll, and you tipped up a couple of big price winners on that occasion. So do you think you can convert your flat form into national hunts?
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? It's as I say, we can all pick these winners out on the flat when there's no obstacles to get over. So it's I'm batting with the real men now. So here's how I cut my teeth. Let's see how we get on.
And Paul, we didn't ask you last time because we had Tim on, but normally we ask our guests, don't we, their favourite horse of past or present. So let's get to know you a little bit more about you and put you on the spot.
Favourite present, it's have to be the girl Quavega. Bit of a boring pick, but whenever I could get down
Past,
to the
you
festival.
Mean?
Sorry, did I say present?
Past
yeah,
or present, you said.
Well, past obviously is Quavega. So I used to go down to the festival quite often and blow the 4-day budget within 4 races of and then Quavega would come out and strut her stuff. Would launch the rest of the week's budget on, and I'd be back level profit for the week and ready to go again. So I'd have to thank for getting me out of some holes. I also had a soft spot for the Fugue as well on the flat. She was a particular favourite of mine, even though she was a bit of a bookie's horse. Won when you never expected her to, and when she was meant to go in, she'd fluff her lines. And then round that off, St Nicholas Abbey, what a legend he was on the flat for Mr. O'Brien. Presents at the moment, it's hard to think. There's not really a standout for me at the moment. I say that I won a few quid on Champ on the RSA at Cheltenham, so by default I'd have to go Champ, but not really got a particular girl who I fancy on the as when it comes to the horses this at the moment, but subject to change, of course.
Well, plenty of horses there that listeners can indulge in. And you mentioned Champ, who won the RSA. That moves us on seamlessly to last weekend, where we had the Betfair Chase at Haydock, which was won by Bristol Du Mai, Clanders Oboe, and Lost in Translation. We're in Nigel Twist and Davis Charges wake, weren't they? Henry, come to you first. First of all, I think it was yourself and Josh who tipped up Lost in Translation, but did we overlook Bristol Du Mai? Got its conditions? Were we too fixated on the classy animals and we didn't take into account that this was Bristol Du Mai's Gold Cup and it was more obvious than it looked going into the race?
Yeah, I think it was one of them. It was probably more a bet with our heart over our head on Saturday. I think I mentioned in the group chat in the morning of Betfair Chase Day, I said, like, the rainfall here, is Bristol Du Mai becoming a bet? Because with all the rain that come Friday through the night into Saturday morning, I expected to wake up Saturday and see Bristol Du Mai getting backed in, but it was just a complete opposite. It was going out and out and out, and at one point I was thinking, tell you what, it's nearly 3-1 here. It's becoming a bit of a betting opposition, but in the end, I obviously didn't bother. I stuck with Lost in Translation, which I regret now, but it was lovely to see Bristol Du Mai win, wasn't it? It's a superstar round Haydock. It jumped so well, and at one point you thought Clanders Oboe was coming to basically win the race, come there on the bridle, and just when it joins Bristol Du Mai, it seemed to find a little bit extra, didn't he? And obviously went ahead and won pretty decisively. So made up for connections. He's obviously one of their stable stars, and even if he doesn't win another race this season, it's still been a successful one now that they've got another Betfair Chase, another Grade 1.
Paul, we probably know that Bristol Du Mai just falls short of real, genuine Gold Cup class, even though he has placed in the race before. But what do you make of Clanders Oboe and Lost in Translation? I mean, they both have tough races, didn't they, going into the King George next month, you'd think, on ground like that it was a Haydock?
Is this to me?
It is to you, Paul, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yes. My review on on that Betfair Chase was a surprise that it won. Not really, no. I did think say Lost in Translation would win it. I fancied it and had a decent bet on it. Maybe we're just a bit guilty of overrating this Lost in Translation. Say it ran a stinker in the King George last year and then ran okay in the Gold Cup. So, you know, maybe you can forgive it the odd bad run, but has it really done anything of note that makes, say, won that Mickey Mouse chase up at Carlisle last year? And say it was okay here. Well, it was impressive this time last year at Haydock, but other than that, it's for it to go off the price it did. It's ahead of like the 2-time King George winner, and then the 2-time, well, no, 3-time fair chase winner. I think we've just been a bit guilty of overrating it. Say as you said there, but it's always Bristol's Gold Cup. Then there's always going to be trained for the minute for this. Just on what he said about the national, I would be interested in it. I just checked then, it was 25-1. I know he likes it soft, but I was thinking if the springish ground arranged, he might help it get round the 4 mile, because it's also going to be lumbered with top weight as well. So I know, as I say, he prefers soft ground, but would he want it soft, shoulder and that weight? So possible April ground and Ainsley, and at 25s I've seen worse punts. Twisters has said that's the aim, so wouldn't put it on anyone off there. Clandestine wouldn't worry about that at all. I'd have to disagree with Henry. I don't think it had that much of a hard race at Haydock. So I know the grounds weren't great, but it was travelling like an absolute dream. I'd like to see how short it was when it went in running. Must have been a short price, so I wouldn't worry about that for the King George. Just looking at the King George as well, I don't know if I'm alone in thinking it's looking to be a very poor renewal. You've got Surname and Clandestine, and then it's a bit of much ado about nothing. And Will Nichols runs Surname and Clan against each other, just to show how weak it is. Mona Lee's actually 5th in the betting, which tells you all. The only other one of any interest would be Champ. He's at 12s, but it'd be a big ask to beat the Nichols per first time out. So I think Nichols holds the winning hand again, but it's whether or not he runs the both of them. But I don't think he'll need to run both, because whatever one he does should hack up for me.
Henry, one horse that you tipped up at Haydock early in the cards that was Master Tommy Tucker, beg your pardon. Paul Nicholls has said he wants to be patient with this horse because he has his problem with his jumpings, but looking at the field, surely after that performance at Haydock, now he needs to thrust them into the deep end. It's 9 now, Master Tommy Tucker. It's no spring chicken. It's going to be 10 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree, Will. To be fair, I don't think it is going to go with the King George. Like you said, he has said he's going to be a bit patient with it, which when he's got the front 2 in the market, you can sort of see the reason why. Especially with Master Tommy Tucker, we all know it lacks for concentration, but the fact that Harry Cobden's going to be on Surname and Sam Twiston-Davies will ride Clandestine, it might just be a case of who would actually ride Master Tommy Tucker. So with the fact that Cobden obviously knows him well and Sam Twiston-Davies gave him a peach on Saturday, I think the idea of them jockeys being taken, you may as well sit and wait for an opportunity where one of them jockeys are available. And you'll probably see it early in the new year. I wouldn't even mind it in like the Clarence House, something like that, 2.5 mile around Ascot, because I don't think it lacks for speed either. I think it is a classy animal, but yeah, disappointed. I had a look in the King George betting before it ran on Saturday, and it's not there. So I presume it hasn't made the latest stage of declarations. But yeah, I suppose you could supplement it, but I can't see Nichols doing that with having the 2 market leaders. Certainly wants to keep in your tracker though.
Good stuff. And over at Ascot in the 1965 chase was a very impressive winner in Imperial Aura, who was a Cheltenham Festival winner last season as well. I mean, Paul, this horse is up to a mark of 163, and there's talk of it going Ryanair route now. I mean, Min won the Ryanair last season off a mark of 169, so it hasn't got all that much improvement to do if it's to win at Cheltenham. But do you think that Ryanair should be the aim? Do you think that maybe it should be going for King George or up in distance, or do you think that intermediate distance is about right for Imperial Aura?
Yeah, at the moment, it's still got time on its side, so there's no rush. So Ryanair is the perfect race for it. As you say there, jumping them to sleep, name of the game, and it absolutely put a clinic on. didn't see a twig. Well, to tell a lie, it made it a bit of a mistake second last, I think it was, but other than that, absolutely flawless. Probably for me, the performance of the weekend. With Chelsea, it's won in small field, it's won in big fields, so versatility is not a problem. Say still lightly race for its age, so there's more improvement in it. Say it's already shot up £30 almost in just under a year, so I don't know if we've got to the bottom of it yet. And it's like you said, there's some going through the Ryanair winners here. You've got Balho, De Flo, Uxazandra, who've won it previously. He's far better than them too, so of course he can win it. And about 7-1 yeah, I think that's I'm not going to get involved anti-posted sevens, but it's a fair price for now, absolutely.
Henry, you impressed with Imperial Order on Saturday? It was hard not to be, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, well, I was really impressed with him, to be honest. He's very good, isn't he? I think I said before the race when we done the podcast for last Saturday that he was around 16-1 for the Ryanair, and I just thought that was a cracking bet. I had to get on myself, to be honest, just because with the Ryanair, I said last week, a lot of the market principles, they won't even bother showing up. And festival form, isn't it? You see so many horses come back, winning different races, winning the same races. And the fact that he's been there and done it this year in March, you'd be confident he'll continue to improve throughout the season. And I even think 7-1, it's not a bad bet. I think he's definitely worthy of his current mark of 163, and I hope it continues to go up in class and we see how it gets on.
Good stuff, Henry. And another winner on the Ascot card, we felt briefly meant for Song for Someone. Another one of you tipped up, Henry, for Nicole de Boinville, who gave it a peach for a ride, didn't he? Lorena may be disappointed, so to Call Me Lord and behind, but you can't take anything away from the winner's performance.
Yeah, it was really impressive. To be fair, it was one of the races I managed to get right on Saturday. I just thought it'll get a bit of a soft lead, and you put its jump into good use, and it proved tough to pass, and that was the case on Saturday. I think if you get similar type small field or decent handicap on that soft ground, I think Song for Someone will always run his race, and if you can get a decent price, I wouldn't put you off. Whether it's a horse to follow throughout the season, I wouldn't be 100%. I think it needs its ideal conditions where it can sort of boss the race on soft ground. I wouldn't fancy it going up in class too much, but like I said, small fields or decent little handicap, it can certainly win again.
Yeah, it might be about his level, mightn't it be?
Yeah, there wasn't a strong face, like you said, with Lorena. Obviously, she burst another blood vessel and sadly being retired. And Call Me Lord's just a bit of an enigma, isn't it? He wins when you don't expect him to, and you can never be sure what level of form he's ran to. So it was impressive, and it was a good win for listeners, obviously. But in terms of progressing through the season, I'd only bother backing it in similar type races.
Err on the side of caution if you're going to back that again. And on Monday, Paul, we've seen the chase debut of Shiskin, the Supreme Novices Hurdle winner at the Cheltenham Festival in March. I don't know about you, but for as impressive as Shiskin was on his chase debut, isn't it just a bit boring now, Paul? 7-4 for the Arkle. You've got Envoy Allen, who's going to probably win the March chase. I mean, I know not everything's about Cheltenham, but two of the novice chasers are already sewn up, aren't they, at this stage of the season?
Yes, I'd say if I had to pick one of them, Shishkin versus Envoy, who's going to win the Arkle and who'd win the Marsh? I think they'll both win, obviously, but I think Shishkin's the one out the two, which is going to be many people's festival bankers. As you say, there's a bit dull and mundane, but they can only beat it's a cliche, but they can only beat what's in front of them. If there's nothing there, you know what I mean? There's nothing really they can do. Say 7-4, it's fair. It is an alright price, I think, at this point. Say I'm not going to get involved for like £20-30 a race punter, but I think some of the big hitters will be hoovering that up, because it's basically 7-4 for it to turn up. If it turns up on the day, it'll be odds on against a field of 6 max. So say not for me, obviously. If I'm not going to back Imperial at 7s, I'm certainly not going to back this at 7-4 4 months out, but say if the big hitters feel free, they're more than welcome to it, because looks like it's free money for them, as long as he gets there and as long as he needs to get around.
Yeah, very good logic, that, Paul. But I do remember Henry having Faheen in all sorts of trebles and lucky 15s, didn't you, want that year that he didn't run, all right to say?
Yeah, I've had a couple of stinkers. Thistlecraft for the Gold Cup was another one.
That's the mistake of anti-post punts, isn't it? Like you say 7-4 is a good price, but it could break a leg on the gallops or whatever. You don't know what will happen. Henry, just come to you finally then. Any other eye catches over the past week that have caught your eye, or ones for the notebook of horses that have ran well down the field maybe that you want to get on next time out?
Yeah, I think we've touched on the main ones, to be fair. Like, just going onto Shishkin quickly. It jumped so well, didn't it? I love the horse, to be honest. I think it's got everything. I can see it within a champion chaser. I could even see it being similar to like a Corto Star in terms of could easily step up to 3 miles in due time and run a big race there. In terms of eye catches, there was one in the bumper. For the 350 Ascot on the Saturday, a horse called Wonderwall that I thought was quite impressive. Comes from quite a shrewd stable, Richard Spencer, and it opens up around 10-1 and got hammered into joint favourite 3-1. It went off and travelled well, made its challenge in the final furlong, kept on strongly, and it was quite impressive, to be fair. I think that'll prove to be quite a decent little bumper. There'll be plenty of winners in there, and I just think that's one to keep an eye on. I was impressed with how it travelled through the race and the fact that it managed to out-battle one of the Henderson horses that equally travelled as well. I just think, that's one for the notebook, Wonderwall.
Paul, give us a horse that listeners can make a few quid off in the future.
Yeah, there was just the one in Ireland for me. It's not really a dark horse. It was a bit under the radar, but it was Fire Attack for Joseph O'Brien. He ran in the 12-10 at Navan in the Monksfield Novice Hurdle. I just thought it was interesting. He was thrown into a Grade 3 race on only his third start. Ran an absolute blinder. Just found one of Gordon Elliott's a bit too good for him. Won by half a length. Maybe an experience told for it, but finished well ahead of the well-touted Fruit of a Lane. So I think there's potential there. I can see it winning graded races or could pop up in one of the valuable handicaps at the festival. So say Joseph as well with his handicap hurdlers. He knows the time of day. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that one and hopefully get it in one of the big festival handicaps, if not a graded race.
Excellent stuff. Listen to the On the Knob podcast in association with datagold.com. 18 plus, please gamble aware. We'll move on to the action this week then, lads, and we've got an ITV Racing card at Newbury on Friday. We'll start off with the feature race, which is the long distance hurdle, Grade 2 affair over 3 miles. And we've had so many small fields this season, lads, in good races. Isn't it nice to see 10 runners with a bit of quality to it? Paisley Park coming back 2-1 favourite, McFabulous stepping out of novice company for the first time, 5-2. Then we've got Time Hill and the Stayers hurdle winner in March, Lisnagar Oscar. Paul, the floor is yours. What would you fancy at this early stage?
Yeah, just saying no strong opinion on this particular race, except for I couldn't have McFabulous with stolen money, and I don't know how he's priced up at 9-4. Just looking at him here, he beat Court and Bold. Court and Bold rated 135. He beat him on his last start. Then Court and Bold has just been beaten second to last by 34 lengths. And now they've got McFabulous priced up at 9-4 against this lot. It's the worst price of the 2-day meeting for me. And I'm tempted to jump on the machine and get and hit the pink section for the lay. In regards to this race, not really a strong opinion on the winner. I do like Time Hill. I thought that was a hot Albert Bartlett he ran in. And you can make an argument that he was unlucky in it. So if I was going to have a bet here, there's 6-1. That's probably where my tenor is going. Not having Lisnagar Oscar. Paisley Park, I'd like that to win because the division looks strong this year for the change. So for the first time in years, it's actually an interesting division. I'd also like him to hack up, so it might push my fancy for Cheltenham Fury Road out to a big better price. So the race itself, Friday, I'll have a sort of tenner on for Time Hill for interest, but I'm kind of hoping Paisley Park can bounce back from his heart condition and put some real life into the staying division this year.
I concur with everything you said about McFabulous. Henry, in terms of Paisley Park, we had Alice Plunkett on a couple of weeks, and she allayed fears really about his Cheltenham performance, about the irregular heartbeat. She pinpointed that Denman had a similar problem, but come back to win a Hennessy, didn't he? So first of all, can Paisley Park come back? Second of all, it's 2-1 on Saturday. Would that on Friday? Beg your pardon. Would that appeal to you? I know that you are a huge fan of Time Hill.
Yeah, it's good. Like you said, it's a cracking race on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. Paisley Park, it's love. Can't wait to see him back. It's a horse that reminds me of Big Bucks when it won the World Hurdle in 2019, and it was obviously disappointing this year, but it had its excuses, and hopefully it can bounce back to its 2019 form. This race, it does look quite a decent race on paper. I think Paisley Park will have to be back at least close to his very best to win this on his comeback run. 7-4, 2-1. I think that's a little too skinny for me, given all the unknowns. I can only agree with yourself and Paul in regards to Max Fabulous. He's just totally priced up on reputation, like talk of the yard. Obviously, he's unexposed, but it's a big step up in class, and there's just no juice in his price whatsoever, is there? I can imagine him to be a bit of a drifter on the morning. Like you said, I do like Time Hill. It's a horse I've got a lot of time for. Similar to, again, what Paul said, I love that Albert Bartlett form. I think that'll be very strong. I like Monkfish. I think that'll be one for the RSA, and a couple of horses have ran that were well beaten, likes of the Wolf. That's won a novice chase. That was well beaten in the Albert Bartlett. You've got the Fury Roads, won well the other day. Even latest exhibition, although it got beaten last time out, second behind a good horse, but it did win on his seasonal debut. So the form's definitely there, and I just think Time Hill, it was obviously very unlucky in the Albert Bartlett, and he's going to be a really strong stayer at the trip. I think he'll stay all day, and I just think the horses stepping out in novice company are worth chancing in this division this year. I think it's wide open. I agree with Paul on Fury Road. That's a similar price. They're both still double figures, 14, 16-1 for the stayers, and 6-1 for Time Hill here on Friday. I think that's a great each way bet. I can't see it being out the first three. I just hope the Hobbs horses, like I've mentioned previously, sometimes they are needing the first run, but he has started to have a few more winners of late, and I'm hoping that he'll have Time Hill spot on for this. And it's not one of them. It's not like Time Hill's running in a mediocre race and it's going off odds on. If it's 6-1, you're happy to give it a chance, aren't you? And that's the one I'll be putting my money on Friday, Time Hill.
2 shouts for Time Hill. Then we'll go on to the 150, which opens up the ITV Racing action, which the Ladbrokes committed to Safer Gambling Novices Chase, also known as the Berkshire Novices Chase. Grade 2 affair. Disappointing that it's only a free run at a fair, but Henry, would you be having a bet in this, or would you be quite happy to have a watching brief and see what might be able to make an impact at a higher grade in the future?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be a betting race for me, this one. I do think Fiddler on the Roof will win this race. Would a touch of that odds on? No. It did come on for his seasonal debut, didn't it? Come second behind If the Cap Fits. It was well beaten, but like a lot of Tizard horses at that time, they were struggling first time out. But he did put that right at Exeter last time out, albeit they only won by a short head over Fergal O'Brien's Silver Hallmark, but they were 33 lengths clear of the rest. So I don't think every other horse, although Sporting John was disappointing, there was a few others in there, and they were obviously well beaten. So I think the form will read well enough, and galloping track, Newbury, stamina test at the trip, I think that will play to Fiddler on the Roof's strengths, and I think he can come out on top again here before, again, going on to bigger things later in the season.
4-5 Fiddler on the Roof at the minute, Paul. It's a lot more than what the bank's paying interest. Is this a banker for you or a blowout?
Yes, I was kind of looking forward to this race till it cut up. I fancied the outside of the whole field, holding out. I think it was about 12-14-1 for Shannon, but alas, it's cut up to 3. The only one I don't fancy Caribbean Boy, so I'm making a match bet between Fiddler on the Roof and Getaway Trump. If you know what you're going to get with Getaway Can't believe he's only 7. Seems to have been around forever. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a banker, but 4 to 5 on the up and comer. Still haven't got to the bottom of it, so 4 to 5. I think there's a bit of even money knocking around. I'd be disappointed if he couldn't put these 2 away at the Fiddler.
Fairly aptly named, given what's going on in America, isn't it? Getaway strong. We'll go on to the 225 at Newbury, which is the Get Your Ladbrokes free bet today. Handicap chase, a Class 2 affair over 2 miles and 4 furlongs. 11 runners. Paul, unsolve the puzzle for us.
So I'll take a small flyer here on Defi Sacra for Richard Hobson. Got James Best jocked up for this. Looks, I think he's been crying out for this step up and strip for 4 furlongs. Got caught out at Aintree. The 2 miles, found it a bit too sharp, and obviously Aintree a quick speeds this track. Albeit as well, he was beat, but then started staying on towards the end. So definitely the extra strip looks like he's going to suit. I say tough handicap, but double figure price there. I'll have a few shillings each way on that one. Not too big, but Defi Sacra, and I hope that the trip up will bring some improvement.
That's the sort of bet that we like, Henry. If you got a bet akin to Paul's, or would you be looking for something singular at the head of the market?
Yeah, the one I like on this is Old Grangewood. I think it's around 5 to 1 at the moment. So, basically won the race last year. Yeah, at Newbury, same race before going on to win at Cheltenham. On its next start, it won that off 142. It's off 147 here, but I just think it's very similar to its run up to this race last season, where it came on for the seasonal debut. It finished 3rd, similar time to when it made its reappearance this year in the Old Roan Chase. It come 4th, very similar. Got beat about 10 lengths. Looked like it was going to challenge both in 2019 and obviously in the Old Roan Chase before emptying out after the last. And I just think that comeback run, it just reminded me so much last year, and then it obviously improved to go on and win this race at Newbury. And I think Skelton's had the same plan in mind. It obviously was there to win the Old Roan Chase. Looked like it was going to go very close. Emptied out, finished 4th. Magic Saint was in behind. That's horse that's gone on to win since. I think that form is pretty solid. And like I said, I just expect it to be very similar to last season. I just think it's going to come on for the run, and you know what you're going to get. And it's £5 higher than when it won off Cheltenham, but I think that's more than fair. And at 5 to 1, that's the one for me.
Old Grange was for Henry. And the final race on ITV on Friday is the Play Ladbrokes 123 on football handicap hurdle, Class 2 affair over 3 miles. Henry, Lil Rockefeller's in it. What a warrior that's been down the years, but is it good enough to win this, do you think?
Not for me, to be honest. Well, I think this field, it's got quite a lot of exposed horses in. We know where they're all at. The only one that I think's a bit unexposed is the Twiston Davis horse, Hill 16. I think it continues to get backed in, and it's easy to see why. It absolutely bolted up last time out by 46 lengths. Fosslas, obviously it didn't beat much, but comes here, it's £10 well in. Scope for further improvements. He's going to be racing off 10 stone 4, so don't get me wrong, he's going to have to step up again, because we like the likes of Little Rockefeller and there's a few others. We know the level of form they're at, but I always like to back a little unexposed horse in a race like this, and I think he will take a lot of beating running off 10 stone 4, Hill 16, and that's the one for me. Yeah, I get on as soon as you can, because I think it will be one of them horses that gets backed in a lot, not only today, tomorrow, and up until the race goes off at 3:35 on Friday.
Yeah, 3 to 1 at the minute. Paul, would you be looking at the up and coming horse in this, or would you fancy one of the more exposed sorts to produce a run of yesteryear and win off a mark that you mightn't have thought it might be able to?
Yeah, I like another youngster here. It's the Tom Lacey train, Neville's Cross. Robbie Power booked up on board for it. I know it was well supported last time out in one of them Thames qualifiers. But you don't know what you're doing with them qualifiers, because there's all kinds of dark arts and skullduggery going on. And if any, just on that footnote, if there was a race to go from the festival, it should have been that Thames. But There you go. So this one here, it started off at 109. It's now at 130, and it looks like they're going to have to try and get in that attempts actually. So it's possibly going to need another win to get up to the mid 130s to guarantee a spot. As I say, it's well supported last time, but say ran a shocker to be fair, so you'll have to forgive it that. But prior to that, it took its last 2 races in taken fashion. And I say I was looking at this a couple of days ago, and Power was already booked up on Monday. So obviously, I know he rode it last time, but they're getting the man again. So I say whether or not they're having a go, and it's say it has been nibbled in the market. So it looks like they're going to try and seek compensation for last time and try and get that mark up to get in for March. So it says Neville's Cross for me at 6-7 to 1.
Would 6 have been enough to qualify for the race, do you think? Is that it's madness, isn't it? The attempts, as you say, I'd get rid of it. You don't know what gets you in these days. You can finish 5th, 20 lengths you can get in. Would it have got in, finished the 6th at Cheltenham last time, or does it have to win to make sure it does get in the race?
I said I was looking at the lowest, I think last year was about 130, which it's off now. So say you probably need another couple of pounds to guarantee your spot, as you don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, it's looking at 134, 135 to guarantee your spot. So he probably needs another win, or say I know there's still plenty of time and he can probably find another race, but yeah, just forced to say nibbled in the market and Power up early doors. So must be a fancy it for Friday, so I'll be going with that.
Brilliant stuff, lads. We'll go on to Saturday then. It's another cracking day's action. The feature of Saturday is the 3 o'clock at Newbury, which is the Ladbrokes Trophy, formerly known as the Hennessy Gold Cup. Over 3 miles, 2 furlongs, won by the likes of Denman, Bobsworth, Nators River, who've all gone on to capture the Cheltenham Gold Cup later in the career. Henry, we'll start with you first. Looking at this year's Ladbrokes Trophy, does it have any horses who could go on to potentially be a genuine Grade 1 animal? And who is your selection for the race?
In regards to your first question, it's hard to tell. There's a few that could step up. I don't think we'll see a horse challenge for the Gold Cup this year, but there could be a few young guns that could maybe continue to improve and maybe have a go at a Gold Cup maybe next season, for example. I actually really like a horse in this. It's probably my strongest fancy for a long time. It's 2 for Gold. Ollie Bell put it up as his charity bet when he was obviously on the pod with us, and it's easy to see why. Obviously, he owns the horse. Well, he's got a share in the horse, and that influenced his decision when he joins ourselves. But I just think it's made for a race like this. Going back to last season first, in regards to the reasons why, he's really solid form last season. He was only 6, won a Grade 2 at Warwick before finishing fine second in another Grade 2, the Peterborough Chase, which always gets decent horses lined up. It's obviously turned 7 now. It made a pleasing comeback, I thought, at Wetherby on his seasonal debut. That was over 2 mile, 4 furlongs, which just, he needs further, basically. He went from the front there, still managed to run a big race. Only got pulled clear of the third, but the winner was unexposed, well-handicapped horse, really, and that just done him for a bit of speed after the last fence. Steps up to obviously 3 miles here, and it's going to be a stamina-sapping trip, isn't it? It always is with the Ladbrokes Trophy. You need a very strong stayer, galloping track like Newbury, and it's going to go from the front. It's bold front running jumper, and I always like backing a horse that jumps well. I can go from the front in a handicap like this, because you are going to get horses making mistakes. You're going to have trouble passages, and I think 2 for Gold, it'll go from the front. It'll probably be ridden into every fence. It's going to have a lot of them in trouble a long way out, in my opinion, especially some of the horses that have maybe not ran in a race like this. They're going to get a rude awakening, and I just think you can get like 12, 14 to 1 for 2 for Gold, and I just can't see it being out the frame. It'll be, like I said, not going to be short of stamina, and I just think it's running off a mark of 148 here, and I think that's more than fair. The ground's gonna suit him perfectly, and I just think there's no way this horse is going to be out the frame. It's a cracking each way bet on Saturday.
a really bullish shout from Henry there. And listeners, if you haven't listened to our podcast with Ollie Bell, it's worth going back, because first 10 minutes we talk about his career in ITV Racing and just the ins and outs of the programme and the open show. It is a really good listen to indulge in. If you have 10 minutes free, I'd recommend that. Paul, you've got a little bit of an insight into the Kim Bailey yard, haven't you? So is 2 for Gold a horse that the yard have always fancied to go on and do better things? And then next of all, who would your tip be?
Yeah, I know he's, as I say, he fancied the off vindication in there, so and obviously now 2 for Gold, so he was and whether to enter it, and say quite telling that he does. So obviously must be working well on the gallops at Thorndale. With the question there, I actually like one of his old sparring partners, and that is, I'll preface my comments, since Denman 11 years ago, the heaviest anyone's ever carried is 11 stone 6, so I've been looking south for that, and that has led me to Colin Tizard's Copperhead. His last run was poor, albeit, but at number 1 it was over hurdles, and number 2 I think it was just a prep for this anyway. That was at Weatherby, the race where Roxana hacked up. So I think he was just out for the spin there to get him right for this. He was pulled up, so you'd have to bear that in mind, but wouldn't worry me too much. And it's a case the softer the better for him, so this stamina test will be perfect. Can't forget last year where he absolutely poleaxed 2 of them today. 2 for Gold and Danny Whizbang. Beat, I think it was the Sodexo at Ascot. It was an absolute bog, and I think he won it by about 15, 16 lengths. So say soft, hopefully a bit of rain through the week as well will make his task easier. I was just reading up as well, Tizard mentioned this has been reading the stable tour in the summer, and this was mentioned for my boy the Copper. It's the main target for a while back, so they're going to get him in here, and if all goes well, they've said they'll think about a Gold Cup. So if he's to be anywhere near that, I personally couldn't have him for the Gold Cup. But if he's to get anywhere near it, then it's a good performance here. I think he's about 9 to 1. So say do a rain dance, get some rain, turn into a stamina sapping test, and I say hopefully he can oblige this. Pretty sweet on him. That's Copperhead.
Yeah, the Colin Tizard yards were in absolutely dreadful form as well, weren't they, when he had to spin over hurdles at Weatherby?
And also, I know he fell at Cheltenham, but say you can put a line through any Tizard runner at Cheltenham. So it was too bad to be true, so not too worried about that. I say I think the one at Weatherby was literally just a spin round for this, so I'm pretty sweet on him myself, to be fair.
Very good. Well, we'll go to the 150 at Newbury, which opens the card on ITV, which is get your Ladbrokes 1 free bet today, handicap hurdle, class 2 affair over 2 miles and 5 furlongs. We haven't got decks yet, Henry, but at this early stage, what would be catching your eye?
Yeah, like you said, it's a little bit tricky, this race, because could easily have quite a small field, or I can see a lot of them are like double booked in terms of Floressa is the one I've landed on. I'm not 100% sure it goes this race, because it is also in the decks for the following race, but I just think with connections having Marie's Rock favourite in that race, it may well allow Floressa to go here, which I hope it does, because I think it's got a cracking chance. It won at this venue last year, same meeting, and don't get me wrong, it had strong form up until the Mares Novice Hurdle, where it did run a stinker. To be fair, it was well beaten there, but we've seen that Epatante, for example, ran in the same race, Mares Novice Hurdle, absolutely bombed out, and then obviously went on to win a handicap hurdle at Newbury the following season before going on to better things. I'm not saying Floressa is going to be the next Epatante, but I think he's definitely better than his current mark. I'm hoping she starts to settle a little bit better now that she's got another winter on her back, a bit more experience. Did go for a racecourse gallop live on Racing TV last week here at Newbury, and although you can't read too much into them, it did look well, and she did look well in herself, and I think she's definitely worth a bet in this race if you can get around 9 to 2, 5 to 1. I'd wait till tomorrow just to make sure she definitely lines up in this contest, but she's the one I'll be interested in if she does go here.
And Paul, anything catching your eye in the race at this early stage?
Yeah, quite like one myself. Champagne Platinum for Nicky Henderson. Saved last season at Cheltenham in the Kimwell when it went off favourites. Didn't disgrace itself, finished 7th, probably just found the stiff finish too much. So back here at a more easier track to say then, I'm hopeful. He's kept good company over the fences. They ran in some races there with, say, Mr. Fisher and Itchy Feet, so he's kept good company without winning. I do think he's better over hurdles, so that's the order of the day for Saturday. Could be well handicapped on his old form from 2 seasons ago, and as I say, the last stiff at Stratton and Cheltenham could suit it. He's won at the track before. He's only had 7 runs in total as well, 3 of them over hurdles. So I don't think, again, we've got to the bottom of this, so should be more in the tank. And it'd be nice to see a few of the McManus Millions on it through the week to see getting clipped in. That would further boost confidence for me, but I'm quite sweet on this one as Champagne Platinum.
Not the Martins Millions ploughing into it, no.
Joe, it's say pennies, millions. no, it's say I won't be moved when I get on. They move the other way, so yeah, that's certainly not my money that would be causing a nibble.
Well, the 225. Let's hope your money might cause a nibble on this. Is the Ladbrokes Jerry Fields an intimate handicap hurdle over 2 miles? Again, we don't know the decks at this time of recording, but Paul, the floor is yours to go first.
Yes, this the one where Marie's Rocks. I hope she's declared because I'm looking forward to see her. She was my banker at the festival for the Mayor's Novice at Cheltenham, but unfortunately didn't make it.
She's going, Paul. It looks like she's jocked up anyway.
Confirmed for the so say going to be tough to. What is she about 7-4, 2-1?
Yeah, I think 7-4. What I'm looking at, that's probably the best price you're gonna get.
Yeah, she's going to be very tough to beat. She obviously get the allowance as well. So your concern would be the layoff, so I wouldn't be having her as a bet. If I was having a bet, it'd be Milkwood. That is for Neil Mulholland. Robert Dunn jocked up. Didn't ran a cracker. It was well supported for the Welsh champ hurdle. Didn't run too bad. And that actually looks to be a decent renewal. The Welsh hurdle, obviously, so Royal hacked up. And then Buzz flew in the other day, so who he was behind. So form certainly being boosted there. So, as I say, I hope Marie's Rock wins, but if I was having a bet, it would be Milkwood.
Henry, would you be tempted to plough into Marie's Rock for a first run this season, or would you be erring on the side of caution like Paul?
Yeah, definitely. I'll be erring on the side of caution. She's definitely got the most potential in this lineup, hasn't she? But it's going to be 336 days off the track, and it's not really the type of the fact that it's been off with an injury as well. It's not really the type of horse you want to be ploughing your wages into. Let's be honest. I mean, I think the market will tell us a lot the morning of the race, because if she has been working well, I presume the money will come in for her. And obviously, if they're a little bit concerned that she may need the run, I expect it to drift out. The 2 I'll give a mention for here is a horse that I did put up as one to follow. Is Botox Has. It's around 8-1. It's going to be carrying top weight, so it is going to have to give weight to a lot of smart rivals, which is a concern. But I think he's bound to give a good running, really. It obviously ran at Cheltenham earlier on the start of the National One season, where it beat All Mankind, and a horse called the Pinkham beat that by 4 lengths. All Mankind obviously went novice chasing, hacked up the following week, so it's not a case of All Mankind hasn't trained on, may well have needed the run, but Botox Has slick hurdler. I think be able to put it to a good use here. Strong style at this trip as well, so hopefully go from the front and you'll get a good run. The other one I'd give a quick mention to is a horse of Brian Ellison's, Mrs. Hyde. It's a horse that I was quite impressed with on his season on Halloween, 31st of October, where it beat Verdana Blue, and you ask yourself, what price will Verdana Blue go off in a race like this? Because I think it'd be pretty close to odds on. And Verdana Blue ran pretty close to form on that occasion, I thought. There was 7 lengths clear of a solid yardstick in Midnight's Gift, and Mrs. Hyde is just raced in rear and made rapid headway 3 out, travelled the best, to be fair. Vidana Blue was first off the bridle, and it was always doing enough in front. Vidana Blue did get to it in a neck, but it never looked like it was going to go past. And it's a horse that could continue to improve. It's still fairly unexposed, and you're getting around 12-1 for it. And I just think that's decent form. Last time out to beat a mare like Vidana Blue over an ideal distance. All right, don't get me wrong, it was soft ground, which might not have been ideal, but Vidana Blue, we've seen it. It's won Grade 1s, and we've now got Mrs. Hard, who's obviously beat Vidana Blue last time out, running in a listed race, going off double figure price. And I just think that's got to be a good each way bet in this contest.
What's the ground meant to be? What's the forecast saying for this week?
It's forecast good at the moment. There's a bit of rain in the area, so it's touch and go. But I don't think it's going to be like ridiculous. I think it's just going to be good to soft ground, which is going to be ideal for most of the runners, I presume.
I'll start ripping up that copperhead slip then. It's going to be a
It's still going to be a stamina sapping race though, Paul, isn't it? At the end of the day, they're going to go fast pace in front, and they're always strung out like the washing in the Ladbrokes Trophy, no matter what the ground is. So I wouldn't lip it up just yet.
I'll get out and do me rain dance tomorrow morning, I think.
Either that or get down to Newbury and get the hose pipe on the track. We'll go on to the last race at Newbury, lads, which is the 3:35. Where is it? Just get in front of me now, beg your pardon. It is the Ladbrokes Handicap Steeplechase Class 2 affair for the Jim Joel Memorial Trophy, over 2 miles. If you go through there, Paul, will come to you first on this one.
Yeah, it's not a strong opinion there, but I've just took a dart there on the aforementioned Brian Ellison's one. He's got the King of May here. What caught me to it is Henderson's got 2 entered in here, but Ellison's acted quickly and he's managed to get to Bourneville instead of where you think Henderson would have first. So either the 2 Henderson ones aren't going to go, or he's given his blessing for Nico to ride this one if Brian's had a word in his ear. So I just thought that was interesting. He comes off here on a nice low weight. Got a bit of an absence to defy. But as I say, where I said the softer the better for Copperhead, I think this lad wants it the other way, so the forecast there might actually work on my favour on this one. I do think he wants it a bit quicker. Notice he has been backed in quite a bit. I think he was about 12s, 14s when I first looked. He's now over to 8s. So I think people have seen the same, whether or not it's the Bourneville tip. And I think he's on a bit of a lenient mark here. Say, there's only a 6-year-old there. There's plenty more to come from him. So say it's one of them races where you pick a dart and fire one blindfolded, and I think I'll go on this one here, the King of May.
Hopefully that's the shrewd spot that listeners listen to us for. Henry, finally over to you.
Yeah, the one I like in this is, I'm sure listeners might be able to recognise what I'm going to tip up, but it's Iblio, I think that's how you say it, the Venetia Williams horse. A horse that I have another one that I have mentioned to get in your tracker on a previous podcast around 4 weeks ago. It ran at Ascot last first start of the season. I think it just got to the front too soon that day. It got pipped on the line basically by Moolah Gold, one of Skelton's horses. That since ran last weekend, and again that could have easily have won on the weekend. It was flying home just an extra yard, and I think it would have got up. So the form's definitely in the book and runs here off 137. I just think that's another cracking bet. It's Venetia Williams' time of the year, isn't it? She starts to bang in the winners now in the run up to Christmas, and I think she can get one on the board here at Newbury on Saturday.
That's Newbury wrapped up, lads. We'll go on to Newcastle then, and the 205 is the fighting 5th hurdle, and it is the return of Epatante, the champion hurdle winner, who was so impressive. Also looks to be going to Newcastle is Sol Royale. Epatante 4-6, Sol Royale 5-1. Henry, for you, Epatante, does she still set the standard in the champion hurdle, with some people calling it quite a weak division this season? And do you expect to get the job done against the Sol Royale, who's in form this season?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love Epatante. I think she's she's underrated if anything. I think everyone was slagging off the champion hurdle this year. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the deepest the contest, was it? But she couldn't have won it any easier. She just powered clear after the last, and she just has all the attributes to make her multiple champion hurdler for me. She jumps her hurdles so fast, slick. She just real 2 miler. I think the world's her oyster. I think she'll win everything again this season. I think going here, and I expect her to go to the Christmas hurdle, Tonk Ocean, and then obviously go on to champion hurdle and win again. 4 to 6. It's not really. It might be one for your doubles and trebles. I think she'll take a lot of beating on Saturday for obvious reasons. Show Royale hasn't done much wrong. It'd be nice. Hopefully, we can get Ant back on soon. When he get well soon, Ant, I'm sure he'll be back on for listeners soon because he does love this horse, and I'm sure he'd be talking it up if he was here with us today. But yeah, I don't think it's good enough to beat Epatante. I think Epatante's the real deal, and we're going to see a fantastic performance on Saturday.
Paul, Epatante is 7-2 at the minute to retain a champion hurdle. I've got the likes of Abracadabra 8-1, Goshen 8-1, Sam Roy 8-1, Honeysuckle 16s. Epatante, does she represent value to you at this time of the year, or would you be waiting to see how she takes to this season, and can she bounce back and be as good as she was, or does she even need to be as good as she was?
Yeah, I think she would do. I think it's a bit stronger this year than it is last year. 7-2 is fair, but it wouldn't interest me. Just trying to think who Abracadabra. I think the problem is it's this ridiculous £7 weight allowance that they get. It's something I think needs looking into. See, I did it with Annie Power. She beat them off levels, and then you give her another 7, and she just runs riot. Say Benny's another one. I think they need to, if not get rid of it completely, maybe knock it down to 5, if not 3. It can't be this one here on. She should be giving them £7, and I say she's getting it herself. So I don't know what the lot, because most of the racehorses after the fillies, they can hold their own, and in most cases they're some better than the male counterparts. So it's something I'd be looking into.
The only thing with that, Paul, is the only thing with that, Paul, is you're getting so many of the mares now. You've got like the mares chase, you've got the mares hurdle. A lot of them go that route anyway. So I think if they weren't getting the allowances in the open grade ones, you wouldn't get any of them turning up. You get the likes of Honeysuckle, which should be going champion hurdle for me, but it's not going to. It's going to go the mares hurdle. So imagine if they weren't getting the allowance, it could be even worse. That's my only concern with things like that. I agree with what you're saying, because you see it on both codes. You see it on the flat as well, don't you? But I just think they need some incentive to keep them going in these top open group ones.
Yes, I wouldn't abandon it completely. It was a bit possibly, but I think the £3 on the flats fair, maybe with it being jumps, move it down to 5. But yeah, it's always been. I've always had a bee in my bonnet for some time about that. But as I said, I think it's here to stay. There's been no talk of getting rid of this, so we'll have to just suck it up.
You've got a lot of being in your bonnet about a lot of things, haven't you, Paul? A lot of them can't be mentioned on the podcast, unfortunately.
No, I'll have the odd moment, but I'm pretty chilled.
And there's also another race on ITV from Newcastle.
I was just going to say for Saturday, she is unopposable. She won first time out on her 2 seasons. She's won on all kinds of ground, so that's not going to be a problem. Silver Streak, that'll run its usual consistent race.
Why is that second favourite? That's second favourite over Show Royale. Doesn't make sense, that.
Just with Show Royale, I think it's his 3rd race in 5 weeks. I don't think it will win anyway, but that would just put me off a little bit. The one I would go for the forecast would be Ribble Valley for Nicky Richards. It was out for 300 days, out with surgery, and then come back and beat a nice one of Ollie Murphy's by about 5 lengths. Travelled all over it, and then just say they didn't have to ride it. Usually just say a couple of shake of the reins and they put it to bed. So I think that's about 8-1. So that'll be my draft for the forecast. Epatante to beat Ribble Valley.
Good stuff. That's worth a couple of pounds, isn't it? Then the other race from Newcastle on ITV is the Betfair Rehearsal Handicap Chase, Class 1 listed race over 2 miles and 7 furlongs. Henry, give us your selection, please.
Yeah, well, it's not a strong selection by all means, but the one I've landed on is the Butcher's Said. Ollie Murphy horse already jocked up Aidan Coleman, so I'm hoping Aidan has a cracking day at Newcastle on Saturday. The horse ran well at Cheltenham on his seasonal debut behind the big breakaway, who's obviously getting talked up as a major RSA contender. The Butcher Said was coming to challenge the winner. I obviously don't think it would have won, but it was certainly going to be the closest challenger before making a mess of 2 outs. It didn't jump the fence that bad, but just stumbled badly and lost all its momentum. He's got a mark of 139. I think he's more than capable of winning off this mark. Whether he might need a few more runs to obviously get his jumping, because his jumping will be a little bit of an issue in a race like this. But if it does hold up, I think you're getting a decent price. So it'd be a small stake. But yeah, the Butcher Said, just Ollie Murphy starting to come to the boil now after a slow start, and he does have a fine record at the track. So yeah, it's another one of those where it's unexposed. If his jumpers hold up, it'll definitely go close.
Paul, are we having a couple of pounds on this race each way, or will you be looking for a win here?
What's each way? It's no, you know me. It's I say I go for the throat. Can't stand the early. 50 to 1 or over, I might be tempted, but no, it's always on the nose. And on that note, it is I Right. It's trained by Harriet Graham, who's incidentally clerk of the course. I haven't seen that before. Jill of all trades, clerk of the course and a horse trainer. But yeah, I Right. It was last seen in the Charlie Hall behind Surname. It didn't disgrace itself there. It was only about 7 lengths behind Surname, who was imperious that day. Did go up £4 for the third place finish, which I thought was a bit harsh, but who am I to argue? He's been knocking on the door, back down in calmer waters here. So hopefully, if she can get a claimer put on, knock a bit of the weight off, that wouldn't put me off whatsoever. But I haven't got a jockey declared yet, so I'm not too sure who will be on it. One at the course as well, which is always a positive. And about 12 to 1 I've found there. So yeah, I'll be having a small win bet on I Right.
Superb stuff, lads. Well, we'll come on to the naps in a minute. Is there anything else catching your eye over the weekend? Obviously, good action in Ireland on Sunday. Paul, we'll start with you. Anything else that you fancy that you might have mentioned already?
Yeah, there's just 2. It's on the Saturday. There's a Grade 2 mares hurdle over in Ireland. I think it's the return of that Concertista, the mares novice hurdle winner. I think she's going to make a seasonal reappearance there, but it's a stablemate who I like. She wears it well. Only have 3 runs, but being more impressive with each time. It looks a very smart prospect. Career best on the latest, where she turns up at a Grade 3 and won by 8 lengths. Hoping that she can catch, obviously, Concertista is going to start favourite. Hopefully she can catch her cold on her return. She's been off for a while. She gets £3 because she's a year younger. And it wouldn't surprise me if she can extend her unbeaten record to 4. No idea what price she'll be, but she wears it well for Willie Mullins. And then it wouldn't be me if I didn't come on and give a US selection. And that is a 14 to 1 shot over in the Hollywood Derby over at Del Mar, where the turf meets the surf. And the horse in question is Storm the Court for Peter Orton. He's been in far better company than this. He's been running all year against Bob Baffert's machines, Nadal and Authentic. This just screams to me an end of season American Grade 1 after the Lord Mayor Show of the Breeders' Cup. It's a Grade 1 in name only. Storm the Court, 14 to 1. I can see it going very well at a better price back down in this company.
Look at that. That can be the cherry on the cake, hopefully, kind of after the Saturday whilst you're in between watching the boxing. And Henry, anything else that you fancy over the weekend?
Yeah, not from a betting perspective. I haven't really had a look too deep into it. I'll wait till we get the final declarations. But that card on Sunday at Fairyhouse is fantastic, isn't it? You've got the Royal Bonds Grade 1 where Bally Adams going to be going against She Wears It Well. And then you've obviously got the Mares Novice impressive winner Concertista. So that's going to be very exciting. You can't. If I was to favour one at the moment, it probably would be Ballyadam. I was really impressed with his seasonal debut. Then you come on to the Drinmore, where hopefully we get to see Envoy Allen. Again, it'll probably be a no-bet race, but it's always nice to see a superstar in action. And then obviously got the Hatton's Grace as well, which another Grade 1 where we'll see the return of Mares Hurdle winner Honeysuckle. She's going to prove tough to beat. To be fair, she will get weight off her main market rivals, but I hope we get to see Seldier run here. Don't think 2 mile 4 will be his ideal trip. He's all speed, but it would be nice to see him line up just so we know he's fit and well. And I'm sure he will come on for the run after having over 380 days off track. But it's just more of a case of enjoy the racing on Sunday. It's not really a great day betting wise because it's full of your superstars that'll go offshore prices, but it's certainly going to be a cracker.
I didn't realise that Stormy Thunder. I didn't realise that Royal Bond. I only got to the Saturday, so that's where I noticed the race that She Wears It Well was in the Grade 2 there. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's they're both in the Grade 1 Sunday, so I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Shield definitely go that way, but you'd hope so because they do think a lot of it, don't they? So.
Yeah, so just take my points about Saturday's race, and same applies for Sunday, just the wrong date.
Superb. Well, we can move that, can't we? And right, we'll wrap up the podcast as ever, lads. We're getting your naps and next best bets for a lucky 15. Paul, as it's your National Hunt debut on the podcast, the floor is yours to give us your nap and next best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to nap the Nicky Henderson Champagne Platinum in the handicap hurdle. I followed up with my next best. There's going to be Copperhead in the Hennessy.
No.
Known as Ladbrokes.
I'm sorry, he's stolen your thunder there.
For
2 for gold, can't we? So Henry gonna have to come. I mean, no, listeners, you can back both. You can do the forecast. You can have a couple of each ways. But in terms of the lucky 15, Henry, what are your selections?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to make do with the 3 winners out of 4. It appears, aren't we? So,
do you know what? As soon as I'm the guest, I'll remove the Copperhead.
No, you can't change it now. You're gonna have to stick with it. I mean, Copperhead's bound. I think you might be onto something anyway. It's going to run a big race, and now that you've said it, you never go off your first choice. So hopefully 2 for gold comes second. It's a Copperhead listener. Yeah, I just tell them to have a little cover bet on 2 for gold because it's definitely going to run a big race. The 2 to go into the lucky 15, I'll take Old Grangewood in the 225. On the Saturday. Like I said, I just think it's similar prep to when it won this race last year, bound to go close. And to make up the lucky 15, I will take one on. I'll throw Time Hill in on the Friday. Like I said, 6-1. It's hopefully get us off to a flyer, and we can have a nice sweat on going into the weekend's action.
Excellent stuff. If you are having a bet at the weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever it's day, make sure you are 18 plus and please gamble aware. You've been listening to the On the Knob pod. Please give us a follow on Twitter, subscribe to us on our YouTube page or whatever your podcast preference is. I've been your host, Will Rooney, joined by tipsters Henry Gibbs and Paul Martin. Join us next time.